Hi, in this video we'll go over the liquidity premium theory. So in the previous video we have explained the expectations theory, which says that the forward rate is the unbiased estimator of the future spot rates. So this theory adds the notion of the liquidity premium. So what does liquidity mean? It means how easy it is for the investors to access their money. So if you save for long term, then you have to wait for a longer period of time before you can access that money. So the investors will prefer to save short term rather than long term. So if they're going to save for long term, they will ask for higher return, or the liquidity premium here. So this theory says that the forward rate has not only the expectation of the future spot rate, but also the liquidity premium built into the forward rate here. So this liquidity premium acts as an upward bias into the calculation of the forward rates here. So it means short-term and long-term borrowing or investing are no longer the same. Okay, so they're not perfect substitutes; they're just imperfect substitutes. Right, so let's compare these two theories. So from expectations theory, what sorts of or what type of term structure should we see here? So the most extreme form of the term structure is a flat one under this theory. Okay, so if, for example, I have R1 is equal to R2, then my forward rate from year 1 to year 2 must be the same as R1 and R2 as well. Okay, so recall that formula there. I have 1 plus R1 multiplied by 1 plus forward rate from year 1 to year 2 being equal to 1 plus R2 to the power of 2, right? So if I have R1 and R2 the same, then the forward rate here must be also the same as these two numbers. Okay, so this could explain a relatively flat term structure. So what if I have R2 is greater than R1? Then I must see an upward sloping term structure. Okay, so in this case, the forward rate of between year 1 and year 2 must be greater than R1 here. Okay, because R2 here is greater than R1. Okay, and then this could explain an upward sloping yield curve or term structure here, right? So under liquidity premium theory here, since I always require a higher return for long-term investing, so that R2 is always going to be greater than R1. So any long-term investment would always give me a higher return. So I always have this relationship, and then this forward rate must be greater than the current spot rate here in this case. So under this assumption or under this hypothesis, we will always see an upward sloping term structure or yield curve. Okay, but is this always going to be the case in reality? No, because sometimes we do see a downward sloping term structure. So how do we explain that using these two theories? This can only mean that the economy is doing very badly, or there's something wrong with this economy. So sometimes we could say, if we ever see a downward sloping yield curve, this could mean a recession is coming, or the economy is now experiencing recession. Okay, but under normal terms, with these two theories or hypotheses, the term structure should always be upward sloping, and the least of at least it should be flat. Okay, so these are the two theories of explaining the term structure. We will go over the last theory in the next video, and I'll see you there.